Okay, this is The Fault in Our Stars.
When the days are cold and the cards all fold and the saints we see are all made of gold.
Late in the winter of my 17th year, my mother decided I was depressed.
Presumably because I rarely left the house, spent quite a lot of time in bed,
Read the same book over and over.
Ate infrequently.
and devoted quite a bit of my abundant free time to thinking about death.
I want to hide the truth. I want to shelter you. But with the beast inside, there's nowhere we can hide.
They always list depression among the side effects of cancer, but in fact, depression is a side effect of dying.
But my mom believed I required treatment. My regular doctor agreed that I should attend a weekly support group.
The support group, of course, was depressing as hell.
It met every Wednesday in the basement of a stone-walled Episcopal church.
The 6 or 7 or 10 of us walked/wheeled in.
Grazed into the decrepit selection of cookies and lemonade, we sat down in the circle of trust and listened to Patrick, the support group leader, recount for the 1,000th time his depressingly miserable life.
Then we introduced ourselves.
Name, age, diagnosis, and how we're doing today.
I'm Hazel, 16. Thyroid originally, but with an impressive and long-settled satellite colony in my lungs. And I'm doing okay.
The only redeeming facet of support group was this kid named Isaac, a long-faced, skinny guy with long blonde hair swept over one eye. He had some fantastically improbable eye cancer.
One eye had been cut out when he was a kid, and now he wore the kind of thick glasses that made his eyes preternaturally huge, like his whole head was basically just this fake eye and this real eye staring at you.
From what I could gather, a recurrence had placed his remaining eye in mortal peril. Isaac and I communicated almost exclusively through sighs.
Each time someone discussed anti-cancer diets or whatever, he'd glance over at me and sigh, ever so slightly.
I'd shake my head microscopically and exhale in response.
So, support group blew, and after a few weeks, I grew to be rather kicking and screaming about the whole affair.
I refuse to go to support group.
Hazel, you deserve a life.
That shut me up. I wanted to make my parents happy.
The only thing worse than fighting it from cancer when you're 16 is having a kid who fights it from cancer.
Mom pulled into the circular driveway behind the church at 4:56.
I pretended to fiddle with my oxygen tank for a second, just to kill time.
Do you want me to carry it for you?
No, it's fine. The cylindrical green tank only weighed a few pounds, and I had the steel cart to wheel it around behind me.
It delivered oxygen to me through a transparent tube that split just beneath my neck, wrapped behind my ears, and then reunited at my nostrils.
The contraption was necessary because my lungs sucked at being lungs.
I love you.
You too, Mom. See you at 6.
Make friends.
I didn't want to take the elevator because taking the elevator is a last days kind of thing support group, so I took the stairs.
I grabbed a cookie and poured some lemonade into a Dixie cup and then turned around. A boy was staring at me. I was quite sure I'd never seen him before. Long and leanly muscular, he dwarfed the molded plastic elementary school chair he was sitting in.
Mahogany hair, straight and short.
He looked my age, maybe a year older.
I looked away, suddenly conscious of my myriad insufficiencies.
I was wearing old jeans, which had once been tight, but now sagged in weird places, and a yellow t-shirt advertising a band I didn't even like anymore. Also, my hair. I had this page boy haircut, and I hadn't even bothered to, brush it.
Furthermore, I had ridiculously fat chipmunk cheeks, a side effect of the treatment. I looked like a normally proportioned person with a balloon for a head.
This was not even to mention the Kankle situation. And yet, I caught a glance at him, and his eyes were still on me. It occurred to me why they call it eye contact.
I walked into the circle and sat down next to Isaac, 2 seats away from the boy.
I glanced again. He was still watching me.
The circle filled in with the unlucky 12 to 18s, and then Patrick started us out with the Serenity Prayer.
God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change
The guy was
things I
still
can,
staring at me.
and the wisdom
I felt
to
rather blushy.
Finally, I decided that the proper strategy was to stare back. So I stared back.
As Patrick, for the 1,000th time,
story.
And it became a staring contest.
After a while, the boy smiled, and then finally his blue eyes glanced away. When he looked back at me, I flicked my eyebrows up to say, "I win."
He shrugged. Then it was time for introductions.
Isaac, perhaps you'd like to go first today. I know you're facing a challenging time.
Yeah, I'm Isaac. I'm 17, and it's looking like I have to get surgery in a couple weeks, after which I'll be blind. Not to complain or anything, because I know a lot of us have it worse, but yeah, I mean, being blind does sort of suck. My girlfriend helps though, and friends like Augustus. So yeah, there's nothing you can do about it.
We're here for you, Isaac. Let Isaac hear it, guys.
We're here for you, Isaac. Michelle was next. She was 12. She had leukemia.
She'd always had leukemia. She was okay. Or so she said. She'd taken the elevator.
There were 3 others before they got to the boy. He's not a little when his turn came.
My name is Augustus Waters. I'm 17. I had a little touch of osteosarcoma a year and a half ago, but I'm just here today at Isaac's request.
And how are you feeling?
Oh, I'm grand. I'm on a roller coaster that only goes up, my friend.
My name is Hazel. I'm 16. Thyroid with mets in my lungs. I'm okay.
The hour proceeded. Neither Augustus Waters nor I spoke until...
Augustus, perhaps you'd like to share your fears with the group.
My fears?
Yes.
I fear oblivion. I fear it like the proverbial blind man who's afraid of the dark.
Too soon.
Was that insensitive? I can be pretty blind to other people's feelings.
Augustus, please, let's return to you and your struggles. You said you fear oblivion.
I did.
Would anyone like to speak to that? Hazel.
I looked over at Augustus Waters, who looked back at me.
You could almost see through his eyes, they were so blue.
There will come a time when all of us are dead. All of us. There will come a time when there are no people remaining to remember that anyone ever existed or that our species ever did anything. There will be no one left to remember Aristotle or Cleopatra, let alone you. Everything that we did and built and wrote and thought and discovered will be forgotten, and all of this will have been for naught. And if the inevitability of human oblivion worries you, I encourage you to ignore it. God knows, that's what everyone else does.
After I finished, there was quite a long period of silence as I watched a smile spread all the way across Augustus's face.
Damn, aren't you something else?
After support group, Hazel meets Augustus and agrees to go back to his house to have dinner with his parents and to watch a movie. They hit it off, and at the end of the night, since Augustus drives awkwardly with a prosthetic leg, he lets Hazel drive, so he can run the stereo.
As I pulled up outside my house, Augustus clicked the radio off.
The air thickened. He was probably thinking about kissing me, and I was definitely thinking about kissing him, wondering if I wanted to. I'd kiss boys, but it had been a while.
I put the car in park and looked over at him. He really was beautiful. I know boys aren't supposed to be, but he was.
Hazel Grace, it's been a real pleasure to make your acquaintance.
Ditto, Mr. Waters.
May I see you again?
Sure.
Tomorrow?
Patience, Grasshopper. You don't want to seem overeager.
Right, that's why I said tomorrow. I want to see you again today, but I'm going to wait all night and up to tomorrow. I'm serious.
You don't even know me. I grabbed the book you lent me. How about I call you when I finish this?
But you don't even have my number.
I strongly suspect you wrote it in the book.
And you say we don't know each other.
The next time Hazel sees Augustus is right after Isaac's girlfriend Monica has just broken up with him. Isaac and Augustus are playing a military video game while Isaac cries out his grief.
Another go at the mission, Corporal.
She didn't want to do it after.
She didn't want to dump a blind guy.
She couldn't handle it. I'm about to lose my eyesight, and she can't handle it.
I'm sorry.
It's unacceptable. It's totally unacceptable.
Well, to be fair, I mean, she probably can't handle it. Neither can you, but she doesn't have to handle it, and you do.
I kept saying always to her today. Always. 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 And she just kept talking over me and not saying it back. It was like I was already gone, you know? Always was a promise. How can you just break the promise?
Sometimes people don't understand the promises they're making when they make them.
Right, of course, but you keep the promise anyway. That's what love is. Love is keeping the promise anyway. Don't you believe in true love?
I didn't answer. I didn't have an answer.
But I thought if true love did exist, that was a pretty good definition of it.
Well, I believe in true love. And I love her. She promised. She promised me, always.
That's the thing about pain. It demands to be felt.
Later, after his surgery, Hazel visits Isaac.
I found my way to his room on the 5th floor, knocking even when the door was open. Come in. It was the nurse who was doing something to the bandages on Isaac's eyes.
Hey, Isaac.
Mom?
Oh, no, sorry. No, it's Hazel. Support group Hazel?
Oh. Yeah, people keep saying my other senses will improve to compensate, but clearly not yet. Hi, support group Hazel. Come over here so I can examine your face with my hands and see deeper into your soul than a sighted person ever could.
He's kidding.
Yes, I realize. Hey,
Hey,
how you feeling?
I just want the hell out of this place.
This place, as in the hospital.
That, too. Honestly, I think a hell of a lot more about Monica than my eye. Is that crazy? That's crazy.
It's a little crazy.
But I believe in true love, you know? I don't believe that everybody gets to keep their eyes, or not get sick, or whatever, but everybody should have true love, and should last at least as long as your life does.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Hazel and Augustus have been getting closer, telling each other their stories and sharing hopes and dreams. Hazel has a dream of going to Amsterdam.
How can I ever get to Amsterdam?
Do you have a wish?
He was referring to the Genie Foundation, which is in the business of granting sick kids one wish.
No, I used my wish.
What'd you do?
I was 13.
Not Disney. You did not go to Disney World. Hazel Grace, you did not use your one dying wish to go to Disney World with your parents.
Also Epcot Center.
Oh my god. I cannot believe I have a crush on a girl with such cliche wishes.
I was 13.
Of course, I was only thinking crush, 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 crush.
Shouldn't you be in school or something?
I'm playing hooky to hang out with Isaac, but he's sleeping, so I'm in the atrium doing geometry. I see his mom. I gotta go.
Okay.
Okay.
I could hear his crooked smile. Later, Augustus was waiting to take Hazel on a surprise picnic. Augustus Waters was sitting on the front step as we pulled into the driveway. He was holding a bouquet of bright orange tulips and wearing a Rick Smith's Indiana Pacers jersey. After meeting her parents, Augustus drives Hazel to a park.
We walked down what passes for a hill in Indianapolis to this clearing where kids were climbing all over this huge, oversized skeleton sculpture. The bones were each about waist high, and the thigh bone was longer than me.
Funky Bones, created by Joop van Lieshout.
Sounds Dutch.
He is. So is Rick Smits. So are tulips.
Gus stopped in the middle of the clearing with the bones right in front of us and slipped his backpack off. He unzipped it, producing an orange blanket, a pint of orange juice, and some sandwiches wrapped in plastic wrap with the crust cut off.
What's with all the orange?
National color of the Netherlands, of course. You remember William of Orange and everything?
He wasn't on the GED test.
Sandwich?
Let me guess.
Dutch cheese and tomato. The tomatoes are from Mexico. Sorry.
You're always such a disappointment, Augustus. Couldn't you at least have gotten orange tomatoes?
There are two things I love about this sculpture. First, the bones are just far enough apart that if you're a kid, you cannot resist the urge to jump between them. Like you just have to jump from rib cage to skull. Which means that second, the sculpture essentially forces children to play on bones. The symbolic resonances are endless, Hazel Grace.
You do love symbols.
Right about that. You're probably wondering why you're eating a bad cheese sandwich and drinking orange juice, and why I'm wearing the jersey of a Dutchman who played a sport I've come to loathe.
It has crossed my mind.
Hazel Grace, like so many children before you, and I say this with great affection, you spent your wish hastily, with little care for consequences. The grim reaper was staring you in the face, and the fear of dying with your wish still in your proverbial pocket, ungranted, led you to rush towards the first wish you could think of, and you, like so many others, chose the cold, artificial pleasures of the theme park.
Actually, I had a great time on that trip. I met Goofy.
I am in the midst of a soliloquy. I wrote this out and memorized it, and if you interrupt me, I will completely screw it up. Please be eating your sandwich and listening. Okay, where was I?
The artificial pleasures.
Right, the cold and artificial pleasures of the theme park. But let me submit that the real heroes of the Wish Factory are the young men and women who wait stoically and without complaint for their one true wish to come along. Sure, it may never come along, but at least they can rest easily in the grave, knowing that they've done their little part to preserve the integrity of the wish as an idea. But then again, maybe it will come along. Maybe you'll realize that your one true wish is to visit Amsterdam, and you will be glad indeed to have saved your wish.
But I didn't save my wish.
Ah, but I saved mine.
Really?
I got it in exchange for the leg. Now, I'm not going to give you my wish or anything, but I also have an interest in Amsterdam, and it wouldn't make any sense to go without the girl who inspired my interest.
It definitely wouldn't.
So I talked to the genies, and they're in total agreement. They say Amsterdam is lovely in the beginning of May. They propose leaving May 3rd and returning May 7th.
Augustus, really? Augustus, really? You don't have to do this.
Sure I do. I found my wish.
God, you're the best.
Oh, I bet you say that to all the boys who finance your international travel.
After a lot of planning and arranging, the trip to Amsterdam really happens. Augustus and Hazel travel with Hazel's mom to the famous city. It's wonderful. The dream comes true.
I'm on top of the world, hey! I'm on top of the world, hey! Waiting on this for a while now, paying my dues to the dirt. I've been waiting to smile, hey! Been holding it for a while, hey! I'll take you with me if I can, been dreaming of this as a child. I'm on top of the world.
Back at the hotel, Hazel and Augustus have a private moment.
I sat down on the bed. He hunkered down in the dusty Paisley chair. He leaned back and sighed.
Just before the flight here, I started to feel this ache in my hip.
No.
So I went in for a PET scan.
Much of my life had been devoted to trying not to cry in front of people who loved me, so I knew what Augustus was doing.
You clench your teeth. You look up. You tell yourself that if they see you cry, you will hurt them, and you will be nothing but a sadness in their lives. And you must not become a mere sadness.
So you will not cry, and you say all of this to yourself while looking up at the ceiling, and then you swallow even though your throat does not want to close.
And you look at the person who loves you and smile.
In Augustus's case, a crooked smile.
I lit up like a Christmas tree, Hazel Grace. The lining of my chest, my left hip, my liver, everywhere.
I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry I didn't tell you. I should have told you. It was stupid. It's selfish.
It's not fair. It's just so damn unfair.
The world is not a wish-granting factory. I'll fight it. I'll fight it for you. Don't you worry about me, Hazel Grace. I'm okay. I'll find a way to hang around and annoy you for a long time.
I'm sorry. You'll be okay. It'll be okay. I promise.
This is my kingdom come, this is my kingdom come. When you feel my heat, look into my eyes. It's where my demons hide, it's where my demons hide.
It was not okay, and after the trip, Augustus gets steadily worse, until his closest loved ones are literally watching him die.
Near the end, he has a good day and gives Hazel a call, asking that she write a eulogy and come down to the church and deliver it.
I took the elevator. When the doors unscrolled, I was in the support group room. But now, I saw only Gus in a wheelchair, ghoulishly thin. He was facing me. He'd been waiting for the elevator doors to open.
Hazel Grace, you look ravishing.
I know, right? You want to sit?
No, I'm about to eulogize. You're late.
What?
I want to attend my funeral. By the way, will you speak at my funeral?
Yeah, of course.
Awesome. I'm hopeful I'll get to attend the funeral as a ghost, but just to make sure, I thought I'd, well, not to put you on the spot, but I just this afternoon thought I could arrange a pre-funeral. And I figured since I'm in reasonably good spirits, there's no time like the present.
How did you even get in here?
Would you believe they leave the door open all night?
No.
As well you should. Anyway, I know it's a bit self-aggrandizing.
Hey, you're stealing my eulogy. My first bit is about how you're a self-aggrandizing tool.
Okay. At your leisure.
Augustus Waters was a self-aggrandizing tool. But we forgive him. We forgive him not because he had a heart as figuratively good as his real one sucked, or because he got 18 years when he should have gotten more.
17.
I'm assuming you've got some time, you interrupting tool. I'm telling you, Augustus Waters talked so much, he'd interrupt you at his own funeral. And he's pretentious. Good God, that kid never took a whiz without pondering the abundant metaphorical resonances of human waste production. And he was vain. I do not believe I have ever met a more physically attractive person, who was more acutely aware of his own physical attractiveness. But I will say this. When the scientists of the future show up at my house with robot eyes, and they tell me to try them on, I will tell the scientists to screw off, because I do not want to see a world without him. And then, having made my rhetorical point, I will put my robot eyes on, because, I mean, with robot eyes, you can probably see through girls' shirts and stuff. Justice, my friend, Godspeed.
I would cut out the bit about seeing two girls' shirts.
Damn it, Augustus, editing your own eulogy. Hazel, can I get a hand here?
My name is Hazel. Augustus Waters was the great star-crossed love of my life. Ours was an epic love story, and I won't be able to get more than a sentence into it without disappearing into a puddle of tears. Gus knew. Gus knows. I will not tell you our love story because, like all real love stories, it will die with us, as it should. I'd hope that he'd be eulogizing me because there's no one I'd rather have. Okay, how not to cry, okay. I can't talk about our love story, so I'll talk about math. I'm not a mathematician, but I know this. There are infinite numbers between 0 and 1. There's 0.1 and 0.12 and 0.112, and an infinite collection of others. Of course, there's a bigger infinite set of numbers between 0 and 2, or 0 and a million. Some infinities are bigger than other infinities. There are days, many of them, when I resent the size of my unbounded set. I want more numbers than I'm likely to get, and God, I want more numbers for Augustus Waters than he got. But Gus, my love, I can't tell you how thankful I am for our little infinity. I wouldn't trade it for the world. You gave me a forever within the numbered days, and I am grateful.
Augustus Waters died 8 days after his pre-funeral, in memorial, in ICU, when the cancer, which was made of him, stopped his heart, which was also made of him.
So they dug your grave, and the masquerade will come calling out at the mess you've made.
After the funeral, a note was discovered in which Augustus had expressed his feelings about me.
Here's the thing about Hazel. Almost everyone is obsessed with leaving a mark upon the world. We all want to be remembered. I do too. But the marks humans leave are too often scars. Hazel is different. She walks lightly upon the earth. Hazel knows the truth. We're as likely to hurt the universe as we are to help it, and we're not likely to do either. People will say it's sad that she leaves a lesser scar, that fewer remember her, that she was loved deeply, but not widely. But it's not sad. It's triumphant. It's heroic. I love her. I am so lucky to love her. Don't get to choose if you get hurt in this world, but you do have some say in who hurts you. I like my choices. I hope she likes hers.
I do, Augustus. I do.
Are we seeing Claudia's too? She's in the little movie, right?
Okay, this might